What is your 5-year plan? This may sound like a simple, innocent question, but for a lot of us, it doesn't feel that way. I remember as a kid, everyone would always ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And while that is a good question to ask in some ways, and even helpful sometimes, it can also feel trapping because when you're a kid and you say something out loud, you almost feel like you have to commit to that, and there's like this silent pressure to follow through with that. And so I'm here to let you know that if you are not on the same path that you wanted to be when you were a kid, that does not mean that you are a failure. In fact, it could mean that you are on your way to something even better and that you are growing along with yourself and your plans, something that is going to push you to be even better than you thought. And so many things can happen in a year or even a month or a week. It's so hard sometimes to plan certain things in your life. I had a 5-year plan and I really only followed it for about 2 years. And then my life really changed for the better, and I would not want it like any other way. And like I said, this does not mean that you are a failure for going off your so-called path. It just might mean that you outgrew it. These days, especially among younger adults, I feel like there is this pressure that society puts on us, or just a pressure that we put on ourselves to have it all figured out. And maybe having an identity shouldn't be something that is seen as rock solid, but something that is constantly changing and growing. And looking to social media can make these feelings even worse because so many accounts almost have like this brand about them where they just seem like they have it all together. And that's not true. Like, these people are presenting something that is edited. They took 200 pictures to get the one picture that you see that just looks perfect. Like, these are all such unrealistic standards to be putting on ourselves as human beings. Another thing to pay attention to here is that you shouldn't base your identity off things that you just find on social media, because truly, at least for me, I have found that if I in the past followed something that I saw on social media, I maybe feel even like a month later or something that is not truly what I like or I have good feelings from. And so I feel like the best way to find what you really want or what you really like is to disengage from other people's influence, because even if it's subconscious, that is still a powerful influence with certain things. So you really just need to step away from that and have time for yourself where you actually explore things that would interest you, whether that even just be music or movies. Instead of listening to just whatever's popular or whatever's coming out, you actually spend time where you can be honest with yourself about how you feel with certain things, and you may be surprised on what you find. I also think it's interesting that when we were kids, we would look to adults to have all of the answers, or, it just seemed like they had it all figured out. And now that I am an adult, I can see that that is not the case. And I just think it's interesting that even people in their 30s or 40s, 50s even, are switching jobs, or people in their 60s who pick up new hobbies or even new beliefs or views on things. Like, people are always changing and nothing is ever final. And a lot of times there are new people that come into your life, whether that be a new friend or a partner or kids or even grandkids, that come into your life and change you. I think the real pain point here is that sometimes we think that once we change, we can't go back or we can't change again because we may be seen as inconsistent. But this is not true, because you are allowed to grow. You are allowed to try new things. And you don't need to stick with the same things for your whole life unless you truly want to, or that is truly aligned with you. But there's no need to have this pressure being put on yourself. And something to keep in mind is that growth is almost always accompanied by pains, or maybe even failures in some cases, or doubts. These are all normal things to feel when you are going through such a big change. And you will feel some resistance, maybe, depending on what it is. But that is life, and that is finding out more about yourself, and that is a wonderful thing to go through. And it's things like these that we could all benefit from reframing, because instead of saying, like, I keep changing, we could just say, I'm growing and I'm discovering who I am. And instead of saying, I don't have a defined identity, we could say that I am allowed to try new things. And let me ask you, who would you be if you weren't always trying to finalize yourself? Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.